everybody, welcome to my channel for the 4th battle report of the Inter-Regio 2022. As a reminder, we capped round 1 and 3 and we lost by 1 point, 59 to 61 round 2. And now we are on Sunday morning playing against a team called Nouvelle Aquitaine, which is not one of the favorites of the tournament, so we're clearly expecting to make some points here to try to go as high as possible at the end of round 4 and maybe fight for the title. Regarding the list, so you know my list, this was my opponent's list, so we was playing 4 mage, 3 priest, 1 Renus dictator, 2 big block of legendaries, 2 unit of elite, 1 big block of disciples, so 3 big unit, 2 small scoring unit, 2 Shadowfist Stalker, 2 Doomspark Device, 2 Catapult, 2 times Canister Launcher, and 1 Giant. So a lot of 2, 2, 2, and 2, which is a bit the style of the list. But what I found quite interesting is that the Giant is actually his paired weapon, multi-wound 2 against, I think, large and gigantic, which is quite good against me. He has art target 1, so not a bad Giant for 320. I found that quite interesting. And then obviously the fact that he's playing the Renus Dictator, I have quite good experiences against this type of list, because against Ogre that have a lot of attacks in the big blocks like I have in my list, basically it crumbles quite fast, which could be really interesting for me. So definitely a quite good matchup for me. We played Capture the Flag and Frontline Clash. My spell selection is the following. I went with Swarm of Insect, tried to make some wounds on Giant and also the Dictator, obviously. And on the right you have all the spell of my opponent, including obviously the almighty Wrath of God. Matchup analysis, very excited to test the Cauldron Giant against Resilience 2 units. So basically when I saw we were facing a Vermin Swarm, I was very excited to get this matchup. I didn't expect to get it, so I was quite happy when the pairing software gave me this matchup, which I rated as a 13 because I think it's a very good matchup for me. So I was very, very happy to test, especially the Cauldron Giant. When you pick them, obviously you think a breast weapon that can reload against Res 2, that's the best matchup for them. So definitely I was expecting something big from them in this game. Secondary, I was going to wait to see where he deploys his flag before dropping my entire army. So not in a rush to deploy for first turn. Deal with chaff and then trying to go for the bigger block in the second stage if I have enough wounds in my units. And obviously my single model I think are quite strong in the matchup, trying to threaten the flanks, threaten smaller scoring. So yeah, that was going to be the game plan, trying to be aggressive with the single models, and then in the second part of the game, if I can, try to get some combat with my big blocks. Deployment, so he won the roll for side, gave me bottom. My understanding when I saw where he put his tunnel plus the fact that he picked this top of the map was that he was going to play with Impassable and the hill to hide some of his big targets against my shooting, which could make some sense. And then we exchanged a couple of drops, so I told him you can start to deploy. I took some time to think about it, but then I think definitely it was the right decision. He started with like a catapult here, I put a giant, put another catapult, I put another giant, then some doom wheels or some weapon team, I put another giant or the cat. And I think after my 4th drop, he decided to go for first turn and dropped his entire army. So very beautiful army, by the way. He put 1 doom wheel here, 2nd doom wheel here, the 2 weapon team here on the hill. His unit of Plague Disciples looking that way, the giant looking sideways to protect the Vermin Demon, Legionnaire, Velite with some mage in the unit. My counter deployment, so I debated first whether or not I should deploy a unit like of Scraplings to go for the catapult, but I thought that might be risky on Capture the Flag because I'm going to fail at some point a 7 rollable, and then I might just lose scoring unit for that, which is I think makes no sense. So I decided against that and just letting his catapult survive for the moment. So my counter deployment, I put my main forces facing his army, telling him I'm not afraid, going to go against you. Put some of my smaller scoring units, a bit more in the back, and the Frosty more in the middle. Also, if he's trying to push here with the Disciples, I'm going to have 3 monsters, which are quite good against this unit. And then between my strength 7 giant and my 2 blocks, I think I'm in a decent spot to tell him you cannot push against me. And then as soon as that's what I identify also with the deployment. I think that's definitely the area to attack for me, the weaker area. And as soon as I've get an advantage on this part of the map, then I can push towards the middle and at the same time push forward, and that might be too difficult for him to deal with. Let's start with this turn 1. It didn't move that much. For me, what was a big surprise, the fact that he didn't choose to hide the single model behind the hill, so he decided to keep the giant sideways to hide his Vermin demon. But I think it was Ruinous Dictator, sorry. It was definitely possible to try to switch position with Disciple. I would have seen them here and then play with single model with the hill and also the Impassable to also try to slow down my advance in the middle. So definitely here I saw some potential to attack in the middle where there is only a Doomspark defending this whole part of the map, and then 2 chaff pieces plus potential additional chaff coming out of tunnel. The rest didn't move much. In the magic phase, I got Hand of Heaven on my giant here on the left, did 2 wounds, and with shooting he did already 7 wounds to my tribesman. So here I see the potential of his shooting, despite the fact that it was still the old book, but with canister, catapult, it's not that expensive, and it's already doing 2.5 Ogre in a tribe star, so not bad at all. My turn 1, I push hard, especially with single model, so here I go a bit sideways to keep a fair distance with the Doom Wheel. I don't want to risk an easy charge for him. But here I'm not at risk because the straight line is blocked by this unit, so he would need to combo charge to go against the Frosty, which is not likely to do. So I push max with the Frost, and I place Giant here with Impassable looking that way. I don't know if it was the best decision. I could have potentially also looked that way and try to put a bit more space between the Giant and the Frosty to potentially force him to feed me 2 chaff or something like that. So not sure that was the right play. I think it's enough between the Giant and the 2 blocks to stop completely his army from advancing forward. And also the fact that he didn't move turn 1 shows me that, or almost didn't move, show me that he's not too motivated to move forward basically. So here I think could have played a bit differently with the 3 monsters to apply even more pressure on this part of the map. Magic phase. Binding Scroll, Totemic Summon, I get some +1 resilience somewhere, and shooting, I'm one-shotting with my Merc Vets against this Doomspark device. So really happy to get rid one of the wheel turn 1 with a shooting phase. That was a bit lucky for me. His turn 2, I come out with both Shadowfist Stalker, so one coming to chaff sort of the Merc Vets. Second one coming here, trying to shoot at my Giant, but I still had line of sight on him. That's something I checked before, so I'm going to see him. And what surprised me a bit more is the fact that Doom will come down the hill to shoot at my Giant, but takes the risk that I can charge him in return, which I feel quite interesting for me. Here chaffs my Frost Mammoth. Other than that, he decided not to move again, surprising. It surprised me that he didn't use Impassable with his single models. Magic phase, I Binding Scroll Wrath of God because I don't have so many dice this round. Hand of Heaven did nothing, and shooting did 3 wounds to my Death Star and 2 wounds to the Merc Vets this round. Let's go to my turn. I charge with Giant onto the flank here. Because this allows, there is no stand and shoot, and I should be able to get rid of him because of the crumble. Here I charge to this unit with my Frosty, again obviously old, and here it was out of bubble with the Doom Wheel. So what I found quite interesting is the fact that I debated whether I should charge this unit to make them flee here, but then the Doom Wheel can easily charge me, which is bad, and the fact that Doom Wheel was out of range was for me too good to not to take, so I took the charge here. He fled to Terror, and then I tried to redirect, and I failed my check to go against this unit, which is a bit sad. I think also here at this point of time, again, this Giant could have moved all the way here to press weapon those guys that are out of bubble, make them flee through my Giant, end up somewhere here, do some panic and so on. So I think definitely no purpose of staying here, because I think the blocks, I make sure that I have straight line and so on. I think he's still not likely to push forward basically against my blocks at the moment. So I think the Giant could have done something else and used the breast weapon on them. In the magic phase, he Binding Scroll Totemic Summon again. I got +1 resilience, cheating all, and with shooting I did 4 wounds to the Giant. So against again, the Merc Vets are really on fire, and did 4 wounds on the giant, which is quite a lot. Close combat, I crumble or kill both units. His turn 3, I think, yeah, panic check. So he did pass a panic check because of this unit dying, because he's really far away. So he did pass a panic check, which is like a 5 or 6. His turn 3, unfortunately, rally the Doom Wheel, move this unit to shoot my giant in the back, uses the second weapon team to chaff my Frosty. As you can see, my giant reformed that way. He decided against charging, so I gave him a flank here and a front for those 3 units. That was really, I was mainly concerned about Disciple going in, but it was really long charge, and the Legionnaire going in, even with an overrun, then he exposed his flank, replaying capture the flag, not so likely. What I like is the fact that if my giant survives this round, as you can see, I have a lot of opportunities of charging with him or pushing the flank, so I'm very excited about that. His magic phase, turn 3. Hand of Heaven did 1 wound to my giant, and then here's where I made a mistake. He 5 dice Wrath of God. I used my 5 dice to try to dispel it because he had only 1 dice left. So I say, fuck it, let's try. I didn't dispel it, and then I fizzle 1 or 2 dice. He rolled 1 dice, hereditary. Needed like a 5+. Get that off on my giant. Did the 4 remaining wounds in 1 go, and I lose the giant. The strength 7 giant in a very good position. So here I think the fact that he 5 dice with a good roll, the Wrath of God, I should have let that go. Dispel hereditary because the giant is too important. We could debate, but probably more important than the Wrath of God at the moment. He put the Wrath of God here in a position just to stop me from pushing forward, basically, because I can still probably move slightly back and be a bit more patient. But I think this giant is really key. And I got really punished for being greedy here. What else happened? Yeah, he did some wounds. What happened? Did some wounds on this giant. I think he did 2 wounds with shooting, which hurt. And some wounds again on the Death Star. He continues to grind me. My turn 3. Took the charge here. I moved back with both blocks to be as far as possible from the Wrath of God. I think he need like a 9 or something to get to me, which is quite fine. The rest just move a bit away. I took the charge with the Frosty, move away with the giant, uses this giant to breast weapon here. Here again, I think this giant could have done like, be in a position like here in the middle, looking forward, or do something a bit different. I don't know, it's debatable, but the rest, yeah, just try to breast weapon, panic those guys away, because they continue to grind me. In the magic phase, I get this time a totemic summon off, position here, right here, to try to threaten his flag. Wrath of God did nothing. Breast weapon, I kill here 5 guys and he flees, which is very good news. And here I'm going to kill 6 of the Velites, which is a good start. And with shooting attack, I think I kill another 2, potentially. I think I shot at them because of the range, or I try at the giant and I did 2 wounds. We'll see. Yeah, I think I did 2 wounds to the giant. Yeah. Try to finish him off. Here, he moves the Doom Wheel again, facing my Frosty, which surprised me again, because I have some good charges. So I can either charge against the block of Disciple, which is a bit risky, because I think he's looking that way, so he could double counter charge me and get rid of me afterwards. So that's not so much a good plan. But if I charge the Doom Wheel, basically there is nothing I think that can get rid of me, and then I'm in a very good position to threaten his flank. So nice. He rallied those guys out of arc of my giant. I could have potentially positioned a bit better, because now I can charge them, which is a bit annoying. And other than that, yeah, he didn't move much. Just turn around his giant facing me. Disciples didn't move much as well. In his magic phase, so yeah, those guys rally on a 5, which was a bit annoying for me. He got Hand of Heaven, did nothing. I dispel Wrath of God with my 6 dice against his 5. The Doom Wheel is going to shoot at my Frost Mammoth, did 3 wounds. And with shooting, he did 1 wound to my Totemic, but Totemic is still alive and going to try to charge him. My turn 4, I charge against the Doomspark device, get the charge off, so position the giant that still has a breast weapon to get rid of him, and this giant just didn't march because I have only 3 wounds left, so just looking the other way around. I could have looked forward as well, look to the disciple flank. I think doesn't bring much to look here, to be honest. The 2 block move again forward, my scoring in safe position, and that's it. In my magic phase, Swarm of Insect finish off the 2 remaining wounds on the giant, so I kill the giant, which is a good amount of points. I get another totemic summon off, bit lucky with 4 dice against 5, position here to threaten the other unit of Velites. A breast weapon, kill 4 guys here, and he flees with 1 guy remaining, so now he's almost dead. I should be fine. The Merc Vets, I was a bit too far away from the Vermin Demon. I could have potentially be a bit slightly higher to try to shoot at him, I guess so. I killed some of the Disciples, which didn't bring much. And close combat, I did some wounds here. And here, worst case scenario happened. Basically, D3 impact, roll a 1, and then with my 10 attacks, I do 3 wounds, I leave him on 1 wound, and he roll like 7 hits, strength 6, one-shot me, goodbye. So, so this Doom Wheel basically got charged by a giant, fled to terror, rally, moved back, got charged by a Frost Mammoth, so did 3 wounds to my Frost Mammoth with shooting, got charged by a Frost Mammoth, survives, and one-shot him. And now he's still here, so crazy annoying. He's turn 5, moves the Doom Wheel forward to shoot my giant, turn around to blast the second totemic summon off. Could have also entered this second totemic here. I was afraid that I couldn't use the breast weapon because of the combat, and then he would just get rid of me of magic, so I prefer to threaten both flags rather than just lose totemic. Other than that, he didn't move much again in the magic phase. He got a Wrath of God with 5 dice, again put it in front of me, so I'm not going to push with my main block. And that was it. I think didn't do much with his shooting. Maybe 1 wound to a giant, but this time didn't do much. My turn. I don't have any breast weapon left, so what I did is push with this giant here to have a charge. It doesn't look like, but actually the hill is a bit more forward, so I'm on the hill, just positioned behind to not fall off with the model. But I'm going to have a 7 rollable charge into his flag, and I position in such a way that he will struggle a lot. He cannot chaff me with being 5 wide, so he will need to make a strange reform to be able to chaff me, which is okay for me. Totemic goes in the flag, and here I move far away with the giant with 3 or 2 wounds remaining. The idea being, if he doesn't pass the mark check with the wheel, he cannot shoot him, which is fine for me. Here again, I move as far away as possible from the Wrath of God, but at the same time getting shot at the Vermin Demon this time by reforming that way. As you can see, I don't have so many tribesmen left, and that's all. In my magic phase, he dispels Swarm of Insect on his Vermin Demon. I got another totemic summon off right here, threatening his remaining Velites, which is really nice. I got a Fiasco and loses 4 wounds to the tribesmen, so I have only, at this point of time, 1, 2, 3, 4 tribesmen left, which is not much. Breast weapon, I kill all remaining Velites, which was a bit lucky. Wrath of God comes down, did nothing. Shooting, he did 3 ward save on his Vermin Demon, so I did 0 wounds. And here, I kill some guys, but he's still here, and me too. He's turn 6, yeah, I just reposition. Here again, the Vermin Demon, I think, could have marched here behind, or do something a bit different. I got rid of 1 of the flags, so I'm up by points, by quite a lot. He passes the mark check and move forward to shoot my giant, which is annoying. He gets some high strength hit on my tribesman. It is Hand of Heaven, 6 hits, strength 6. Did good amount of wounds. And then with my 7 dice against his 5, I dispel Wrath of God. So 3 or 4 times, 5 dice Wrath of God, I don't care. But he didn't suffer any miscast. And then obviously his Doom Wheel one-shot my giant. Yeah, that happens. So it took really a lot of points. And here I did some wounds, but I think we're both still alive. My turn 6. I failed the charge on 7 rollable to get into the remaining Velites to secure the second Velite unit. Here I charge onto the catapult with the unit. Just reposition to get some wounds and shots, finishing the Doom Wheel especially, because it's still points here to take, and the Vermin Demon has still all his life points, I think. What else? Yeah, I shoot here, kill the Doom Wheel, close combat, I'm going to leave 1 alive. Here I kill the catapult, and that's the end of the game. Then it ended up being a 15-5. because of capture the flag and me taking more points. Post-game analysis, I think I was right to wait deployment to see where he was. Game plan, I was patient. I didn't manage to really win this right part of the impossible to allow me to win bigger, which was a bit disappointing. I would say one factor was definitely him being quite lucky with one Doom Wheel, something that I cannot influence, obviously. And the second factor was obviously me making some small mistake, or I would say some suboptimal decision that I told you during the battle report that didn't allow me to get rid faster of the Doom Wheel and especially the Shadowfuse Stalker that were quite annoying for me. Yeah, the Doom Spark in the middle was the MVP, got rid of the... So, as I mentioned, fled to Terror turn 2 and then rallied, got rid of a Giant, got rid of a Frost Mammoth, a crazy job. Wrath of God didn't allow me to advance, so him casting multiple time, 5 dice Wrath of God, couldn't really stop that. And then the problem is for me, I lost already quite a good amount of wounds. Then if I move forward under the Wrath of God comes down, kill another a good amount of Ogres, then I cannot engage anymore because I don't have enough wounds. So I think I suffered too many wounds from range damage early on to be able to advance after that. Didn't manage to send the Breast Giant into a large unit, which was a big disappointment for me. And I think Vermin Swarm, yeah, his flag were too exposed. The light could have been, he could have deployed a bit wider to allow them to be at the back of the map and also block the ambush. I think that was possible. He could have used Impossible with Renew's Dictator. Also, the Giant could have been more in the middle. So I think there was some better option for the Vermin Swap that basically didn't do much this game. He just played with Doom Wheel and some chaff, and the rest didn't move much or at all. What happened this round? We won on 4 tables, so 15, 15, 12 and 11, but unfortunately we lost on 2 tables, which brings us to a 65 to 55, which is still quite far away from the cap that is at 80. So we are a bit disappointed after this round because we're still quite far away from the top. There is like a 14-point gap, I think, between us and the first place. So we will definitely need some luck to be able to overcome the guys that are playing on the top table. We are like on table 3, I think, at this point of time. So more playing for the podium than the final win, but we'll see what happens. As a reminder, this is a tournament that has a high value of painting score. Painting score being like 20% of the final note. We know that we have good looking armies, so this could also help us compensate the gap. So we'll try our best to cap the last round and then see what happens. Guys, thanks a lot for watching the battle report. I hope you liked it and talk to you soon on the channel. Bye bye.